Right about now, it is time for June 3 in perspective, and clearly we've been helping bring or create the awareness to the fact that one of the reasons why June 3 was so bad was because we as individuals or human beings or citizens did not manage our waste issues any better than we probably are still doing now. But there are some individuals who have made it their mandate to educate us on the use and what we can make out of waste materials. And today we are focusing again on plastic. Last week we looked at the way we can dispose of plastics in our homes. And today we are looking at the government's decision to suspend the ban. Somewhere in September or before then, government said that there is a possibility we should have a complete or blanket ban on plastics. But then the date that was given was the 1st of November. Now, the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology said that 1st November was the date, yes, but then they are considering the fact that they need to take some things into account before, if they even would implement that ban, they are double sure that that is a decision that the entire country would be benefiting from. So they considered a change and said that, well, not necessarily a complete ban on plastics, but then some factors would have to go into that. And also, they have to make the plastics biodegradable. Now, this is the first time I am getting to know that plastics could be made degradable. We have someone to help us understand the ins and outs of how that is possible. But before we introduce our guest and go into the discussion, let's watch this video.
Let's take the example of David going to the keke stand and asks for 10 cedis worth of kenke. The kenke is wrapped and put in a polythene bag for him, and asks for fried fish. They use another polythene bag. They give him fresh pepper in a different polythene bag and wrap all this and put in a bigger polythene bag. Could David have done it differently?
We need to talk to those who are involved in it. So we've got with us someone from the Plastic Manufacturers Association. And as plastic manufacturers, you are not allowed to produce this kind of plastic. Do you accept that or not?
We accept because it's a policy from the nation.
Very good. But you wish they would have not done that?
Obviously, because you have come out with an alternative. Because, the bigger question was, how do we work against these waste? Because since I use it only once and I cannot use it again, the proper disposal system is not in place.
So that's part of the problem.
That indeed starts the problem. And even as it started, we have not had a way of curbing that problem.
But the current policy, they are speaking to you, so they have your input.
To us, and our understanding is that don't ban anything. Don't restrict production of anything.
That's what you want?
Yes.
Why?
Because, when we increase the thickness or the micronage of a plastic, it goes, the rippling effect goes down to the consumer. So hitherto, if you are buying...
So when you say, you see, my brother, let's be clear here. Yes. So you are saying when you make it thicker, it becomes more expensive.
More expensive.
So you want, because for price purposes, you want to continue to use that, the thin one that is flying all over the place and that cannot be reused. Is that what you are saying?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if we can use technological-based additive to clear our environment out of plastic waste, let's go by it.
You are a manufacturer, and you have to follow the rules. The rule is that you cannot import or produce plastic below 20 microns. It is too thin, and it is not reusable.
Yes.
So you will follow.
That is the policy of the nation.
The new policy, and you will follow it. You will follow it.
We are law-abiding, manufacturers. We comply with every directive.
We've come to Kumasi to speak to the mayor about the problem of plastic in this city. The government says plastic producers need to produce plastic that is biodegradable. You're aware of that, aren't you?
I think The policy is good, but let's try it. As we're banning certain kind of plastics, let's also encourage certain. My situation is just get the plastic out there. It shouldn't be there. How do you solve that problem? As I'm doing with Orange, a lot of people are unemployed. Get them on the streets, let them go around, and that should be their business. So the more you collect, the more you weigh, and you make more money. So it will attract people, and the filth won't be there. So that's my thinking. So I think vis-a-vis the new laws coming, if government want, we should also add something like that. Then we'll get it out entirely.
Say a plastic bag,
when no boy obi o catch and say 3 cities any cap na on pe o se for guru mama 2 cities.
Nti omo card tax one person because one person omo boka no what to. Eya would go with black where your friend there we see sum. Eya would go with mu so.
Me we are me dey share with mu and some dey share.
We are bestand say what na chese plastic rubber mensa. Mo to aduane mo the plastic mo start say mo ya che. Some of them have almost a munja, some of the plastic type beer, and ham.
Ever how more idea, dear. Be or Niska or the talk up on. So get one out the man and extra. And so Rob and hearing, ever high in
you sell your food if they, and you always sell it with plastic. If they come and they say you cannot sell with this plastic, this type.
All right, so welcome back in studio, and that's a production by Channel 2 Communications, led by David Ampofo. Let's come in studio to further the discussion on the use of plastics, which ones are biodegradable. Clearly, I have never known that plastics, we could, make them biodegradable, but I've just been educated, and I'm sure you would also be enlightened by the end of this discussion. And we've been joined in studio by Kranchi Adama Tete. He is the Programs Director of the Plastic Waste Management Program, Ghana. And they have been, monitoring events of filth generally, especially plastics. And the last time he joined us here, said that there's a lot of money in plastics, and just that it's not everybody who has that kind of technical eye to see it. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.
All right. The 1st of November, we were all expecting that government would at least put that ban in place where plastics would be banned in general. Plastics below a certain level of microns will be banned. But we are told that government has held on to that or suspended the intended ban. Is that a call you endorse? Are you excited with that?
Yeah, basically there were two aspects of that directive. One was to place a ban on the plastics below 20 microns. And then the other dimension to that directive was the introduction of oxo-biodegradable plastics. What the government has maintained now is the issue of the oxo-biodegradable plastics, the introduction of it into the country. And then the other one, the ban on the light plastics, is being held on for much more discussions.
Okay.
I think if it's being held on for much more discussions, that is okay, because at least we can start with the introduction of the oxo-biodegradable plastics into the country. Because what the oxo-biodegradable plastics does is basically to allow the plastics to rot.
And that's the part that fascinates me.
Yeah.
And would want you to not necessarily demonstrate, but walk us through the process of how plastics can be made biodegradable.
Yeah, during the plastic production process, there's a technology that has been developed. It has been developed for over a period of over 20 years. And the state in which that technology has reached now is that when you put the additive, I have a sample of the additive here. Yes, when you put, this is the oxo.
Our cameras can zoom into this so the viewer can see.
This is a sample of the oxo biodegradable additive. And you need 1% of this to be added to the plastic production process.
1%? Just
1%, to ensure that the plastic can degrade when it is exposed to the environment. But because we use our plastics for water, you also need to make sure that it is able to exhaust its shelf life. It means that the water must be used. After the water has been used, then you can actually then the plastic can start the degradation. And the EPA has brought in a very stringent process to ensure that the oxo-biodegradable additives that are being brought into the country are watertight. I mean, they will serve the purpose. Because so far we have only one in the country now, which is the type they call the Rivet oxo-biodegradable plastics. It has gone through a process of about 7 to 8 years testing before it has been accepted by the EPA. What it does is that if the plastic is not captured at the source of disposal, for example, in the household, if you use your plastic and you don't put it in the litter bin and it goes into the drain, or you drink water along the way and you drop the litter, the plastic litter, it will either find itself in the drain, then it will be washed maybe to the lagoon and then to the sea. When it is exposed to the environment like that, the oxo biodegradable additive, which is this one in the plastic, will let the plastic degrade just like banana or kenke or any other organic material. So what happens is that if it goes into the sea, like we experience now, all those plastics will degrade.
Is this technology that we are hearing of now?
Yeah, it has been in existence for some time now, and these are the things that we have been engaging with government on for a very long time. Way back in 2007, there was a test that was conducted by the Ghana Standards Board of an oxo-biodegradable additive, and this was given to the Vice President then. But once again, some of these things are kept on the shelf. We even sent technocrats from here, Ghana Standards Board and the Ministry of Environment, to the UK to witness the testing process of this oxo-biodegradable additive. But this was not done, and this was done at the Wells Plastics in the UK. So when the President made the announcement that if we do not do anything about the plastics, government will be forced to ban, then the private sector stakeholders quickly said that we have gone through all this process with government, so why don't you just revisit the issue? So the whole discussion started again, and then we contacted the manufacturers of this additive, and then it was reintroduced. So the EPA is working together with the Ministry of Environment and then the Ghana Standards Board to ensure that we have a very good one. It will interest you to know that Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, and others are already using the biodegradable additive.
Really?
But you see, the difference is that for Ghana, we are ensuring that we do the best. So we are going for the oxo biodegradable additive, which is the Rivet one, which has been approved now. So we want to move gradually in this direction to ensure that the plastic waste menace is dealt with, because you all know that the June 3rd committee report indicated that because our drains were choked, that is why the flood, that is one of the reasons why the flood came. And if these plastics can degrade, when they even find themselves in the drain, then it will degrade.
The definition of degrade here is something that many, including myself, would want you to. Yeah, if you say it will degrade, what does it mean? Because we know paper after some time, I mean, it clearly is swallowed by the earth.
It basically means, for simple understanding, to rot.
It can easily rot like normal organic
to rot, or in our local parlance, rubber, and it will be part, or it will become biomass. It's for consumption by plants to grow and all that.
And looking at these additives you're mentioning, they look plastic themselves.
Yes,
in nature.
Yes, but the composition of it, you know, the chemical properties of it have been made. That is why it is a technology that has been developed. So when this is added to the normal plastic production process, it changes the chemical composition or the chemical properties of the plastic, which usually does not degrade, because plastics can stay in the environment for as long as life itself.
Okay.
Even when it breaks up, the normal plastic, even when it breaks up, it doesn't degrade. It doesn't mix up with the environment. You can still see the particles. That is why when it goes into the ocean, the seas and the fishes will swallow it, even when it breaks up, because after some time it gets brittle and it breaks up. It is still in the environment.
Okay.
But when you add the oxo biodegradable additive, which in this case is the Rivet one, then it will make it it will degrade completely into
right.
the system.
My last two questions, we have another short documentary we want to play, but my last two questions to you would be, does it have side effects?
Basically, it has gone through all the very critical international standards. It is good for food. It is also good for the environment. And this has been tested in the UK.
Okay.
It has been tested in Sweden. I mean, it has gone through most of the stringent standardized testing that you can have. Okay. And the Ghana Standards Board has also tested it. That is why the EP and the Ministry of Environment is not allowing just any oxo-biodegradable additive into the country. Before your additive can be accepted for production in the country, it has to go through the EPA process and the Ghana Standards Board. And even in addition to that, they want to expose it to the normal life testing. Conditions. It means that it will be left outside in the sun for the 7 months for it to degrade, for them to be sure that yes, this additive is right. Because if you don't do that, producers are likely to want to play smart, and in the end, we will not achieve anything.
Okay, I would ask my final question, but that will be after this short video.
Okay.
And innovation met with manufacturers and stakeholders in the plastics industry and agreed to ban light plastics. Plastics with 20 microns and below include the ones used in packaging gari and other food products. Plastics, according to experts, take about 1,000 years before it degrades. However, when it is produced with an oxo-biodegradable additives, it decomposes faster since it does not require biological process to degrade. Stakeholders have agreed to produce biodegradable plastics. The directive was to take effect from November 1.
Industry was already prepared before government issued that directive because we were doing production for our neighboring countries. But the issue has got to do with the fact that in Ghana they are trying to make us to purchase from one source, which is much more disturbing.
The Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology says the decision to completely ban light plastics below 20 microns is now on hold.
About 2 weeks ago, the association petitioned the ministry. To them, if you add oxo-biodegradable to the production, whether below 20 microns or above, it will eventually decompose the materials. We've given it to our technical officers to look into it. Whatever the outcome of the reports, we'll come back to the table as we did and arrive at a conclusion.
This means in the time being, plastics with oxo-biodegradable additives will be permitted regardless of the micronage until the ministry is through with its technical investigations. According to manufacturers, adding the oxo-biodegradable additives would add to the production cost. For now, government has not made public any plan to assist manufacturers to reduce the high cost of production.
In that regard, they have to bring a proposal as to how best they want the government or the ministry to support it in that cause. You understand my point? So until they bring such a proposal or how they think we can together resolve this issue, then we'll all be on the same page.
Meanwhile, a policy document to expedite enforcement of the recommendations is yet to be drafted. Plastics have become a major component of waste in the country. Its impact on the environment is evident in the perennial flooding in the country.
All right, welcome back. And that is the fields that we are living in as a country. And we are hoping that at least with the introduction of some of these technologies, we'll be able to move out of that shortly. And just about wrapping up this interview, let me ask my final question. When the new the additives are added to the production process for the plastics and it comes out, how long can it last before it begins degrading?
Yeah, all those things were taken into consideration. So basically, we have a shelf life of 3 months when the degradation process will not start. When the product has been used and it is exposed to the environment, within 4 months, it should completely degrade. So you have a period of 7 months within which the product should degrade. So when you produce your water sachet, for example, it doesn't last for 3 months before you sell it. But even when you sell it within 3 months, it will also have to be out for another 4 months before it completely degrades. And you know, the other plastics that have been in the system have been there for over 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So if you can reduce it to 7 months, it's something to start by, something to
And is it same for plastic bottles as well?
Yes, that technology is there. But we have not introduced that yet. We are introducing for the
light plastics first.
No, the film plastics.
Film.
When we say light ones, the very, very light ones, like the Gary ones. But this is a film.
Okay.
Because it's just like, or they call it also flexible plastics.
And cost? Does it add on to any cost?
No, basically, the statistics show that your cost will increase from between 3% to 5%. So let us even take 5%, and you are producing in large scale. So it is not anything.
That's quite insignificant.
But if you look at even the damage to the environment, we need to be responsible for that.
Okay.
That is where the polluter pays principle comes to play.
Well, I've been educated this morning. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with the Programs Director of the Plastic Waste Management Program here in Ghana, and is in the person of Kranchi Adama Tete, and he's been telling us about the plastic issue and why government has decided to suspend the implementation of the ban on plastics. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.